Guys, Smoke Packs here. We're gonna get into the last bit of Duskmorn information as well as Magic's future. It's gonna be pretty crazy, pretty light MTG game state. Let's see what happens. All right, boom. I'm him. So guys, real quick, I just want to remind you the horror theme, the new horror House of Horror theme Magic set, Duskmorn, will be dropping September 27th. There's just too much things to talk about that we have already talked about in the past. We have too many variants, the double exposure variants, Booster Fun Japan showcase cards. It's pretty cool that exclusive to Japan, you'll obviously be able to buy online. And then Arch Enemy cards are returning. Arch Enemy is a format where players get together where it's like a 4v1, 3v1, 2v1 situation, or even a 1v1 situation where multiple players gather to fight another player who's a boss and has kind of a buffed deck. So I thought that was really interesting. Just wanted to get into some of the last bit of Duskmorn House of Horrors info on y'all. If we get into one more review here on the timeline from the official site, we're on the September 13th, the 13th day of 13 days of Duskmorn. So all the information pretty much has been leaked and dropped at this point. We're on the unlucky date of Friday the 13th. What can I say? They planned this set right. September 20th to 27th, pretty much the next week, will be your pre-release event at your local game store. So you get early access to the set before it drops. September 24th, it will release digitally on Magic Arena. So if you're an Arena player, you'll get an extra bit of early access to cards from that set and deck building ideas. And finally, September 27th, all the way into October with crazy events, set release going into October. So I think it's gonna be a good fall into the winter for Magic. Just wanted to do a little last minute review on that. And moving on, talking about Arch Enemies, it's returned. It is an old school Magic format. Don't remember when I think it just had its own dedicated set, which some of the single Magic cards from that set, Arch Enemy, even if they're not scheme cards, command a high price because it's kind of a premium, set. And then it got a second redo with Nicol Bolas themed set from Amonkhet, which are cards I actually own, which is kind of funny. I'm trying to think off the top of the dome, but I do own that Arch Enemy, so I'm familiar with what we're getting into here. I kind of almost forgot that we had Arch Enemy coming into the Commander precons for Duskmorn. For the Doctor Who precons, they had done Plane Chase. So this is really interesting. They're bringing back another kind of 60-card format thing that Commander players were jamming, and they decided to bring into a product like Commander. I think that's really fun. It shows that the designers of MTG are kind of doing the same things like the community does when you get together with your friends and play Magic. So all the way back in 2010 is when Arch Enemy debuted with the special 60 release pre-constructed decks, and followed up in 2017 with a project that Gavin Verhey had led called Arch Enemy Nicol Bolas. So it made a lot of sense to bring it back for the Bolas arc because he was the main bad guy. Some players got to play it as the plucky planeswalkers of the Gatewatch, while another played as Nicol Bolas, spinning all manners of twisted schemes. And schemes are a side deck that a scheme is like a side card that the Arch Enemy gets, that when he draws his card, he plays a free card from the scheme deck, and it will be a buff that will pretty much help him or fuck over the opponents. So that's what they're gonna be doing with Duskmorn. And just real quick, I want to talk about one of the rising stars of Magic's lead design. Annie Sardellis was actually also one of the lead designers for the theme of Duskmorn. They previously led the Fallout Commander decks and the Bloomborough Commander deck projects. Their next task was Bloomborough House of Horror. They're a huge fan of horror, and they got inspired by the setting, so they really want to do something cool for the decks. So Gavin writes, we've recently made some bonus additions to Commander decks like Plane Chase and March of the Machine and Magic the Gathering Doctor Who Commander. So Annie started thinking about that space and what about Arch Enemy. So basically what I'm trying to roundabout talk about is the designers thought that they need to rework the rules of Arch Enemy. So The team players who are trying to fight the main bad guy, they share one life total now, as opposed to separate life totals, and it'll be a life total of 60 if you're playing in Commander, and then a life total of 40 if you're playing in 60 card formats. And then the arch enemy will also have that reflecting life total. And then the arch enemy can attack any one of the opponents. And let's say it's attacking like your friend, I could use my creature to defend my opponent's board, but then we all lose and share life together too. So that's pretty much the reworkings they've done for arch enemy for bringing it into a Commander setting. I think it's really nice. This is a nickel bolus version. So just do your own research here. I just wanted to get a little flavor and spice into the beginning of MTG Game State and just get into the last bit of information of what's to come in Bloomburrow for the Commander decks Duskmourn for the Commander decks and whatnot. Moving on though, what I really want to talk about is the state of Magic and its future. Also, articles will always be in the YouTube release in the description, so if you want to follow up and catch anything I'm not talking about, we'll have everything queued up there. But things we've kind of talked about, we've inked in about, talking about, blah blah, gave a little inklings about, but we really didn't get time to sit down and talk about Magic's future, and this is something I kind of thought about, because from the 2020 era of Magic, it's been pretty, like the early half of 2020s, pretty crazy releases. We got variants, Ikoria shook up everything, Eldraine shook up everything. And then from there, the last just 2 years of Magic just ramped and completely blew away everyone's expectations, which is pretty crazy even to me, because I've been playing Magic since 2015. Things felt very slow back then. 2018, the ramp up started, and like I said, the last 2 years feels like ramp up times 2. So 2025 is very far away. There's not much details going on. I just have some notes of some of the things we're going to be seeing. We'll talk about it. So we're going to get Innistrad Remastered kicking off. No real release date, speculated January 25. It's basically going to be all 3 Innistrad sets. The first Innistrad block, Return to Innistrad, and then the Return to Innistrad will be combined into one remastered set. And on MTG Rocks, they just wrote, similarly to past remastered sets, this paper set will likely also include a variety of special treatments to play into the Plains themes. Hopefully this will manifest as retro frame cards rather than the difficult to parse frames of Innistrad Double Feature, meaning the weird, like old school black and white frames. I guess people didn't like that. I did, so whatever. That's also why I wanted to read what they were saying. As a note, sadly for Magic Arena players, it appears this remastered set won't be arriving on this platform. Currently, as with all the sets we'll be talking about today, no release date has been confirmed. That being said, judging by the release schedule, 2023-2024. The Innistrad Remaster is likely to launch in January. So that's just basically the notes I even had, but I just wanted to just touch in on the article, see what they were talking about. The next set we kind of already heard about. It's going to be the Death Race set, codenamed Tennis. And a thing people don't even realize, even with the last Bloomburrow, Thunder Junction sets, and even the unsets, all these Magic card designs, and I don't want to keep repeating sets, but all the Magic card sets they're designed like years and years in advance, maybe even 10 years in advance. So some of the things they bring into current releases could have been planned way back in 2010s and got shelved and then revamped with a new team, or Wizards has a lot under their sleeves, basically what I'm saying. So I just wanted to touch on that. But there's big anticipation for the Tennis Death Race set. It will be coming out Q1 of 2025. We're going to see 2 planes we've already seen, one of them being speculated as Kaladesh, since it's kind of modern and they're doing racing already with pilots. And then one plane speculated to be Jace, the Mind Sculptor, his homeworld of Vern, because it's only one plane we've only seen on cards in Magic. People are thinking maybe Segovia, because it does have the Hippodrome Arena race course. Others have been speculating Jace's homeworld of Vern, which we need to get back to with the Mage Rings. Kinda iffy. This will be dropping Q1 of 2025. And then Also, what we've talked about lastly on the show for the Omen Path arc, it's all leading up to returning to Tarkir, baby. Big return set. We've been going back to old school Magic sets, and kind of every time they've returned, they've been better, I feel, than when we did the 5 times returning to Innistrad, because I forgot my fucking card keys type shit, you know? Even though those were good sets, I just feel Return to Kamigawa was gigantic. Return to Innistrad the 3rd time was more fun than the 2nd time. No matter what you say about all the reprints and stuff. And then now we're getting Return to Tarkir, tying up a lot of the Magic story, as well as just more of, you know, big cards in anticipation. So really, Mark Rosewater has just been teasing and promising that this is going to be a set like you've never seen, reminiscent of Tarkir as well, but not like it as well. It's codenamed Ultimate, so I can only imagine what the hell we're going to see. Dragon lovers, obviously the set's going to be for you. It's going to fuck up everything, I can already tell. Now moving in to Q2 2025 release, we're going to get Final Fantasy set, a full Final Fantasy release. This will probably be like in place of Magic's core set for Q2, where our 2024 Q2 release will be Magic Foundations, okay? Come on, bear with me here, guys. Give me a break here. So, moving on to what may well be the June-July release for 2025, we have another Universe Beyond set for MTG. Following on from The Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth, this set will be a new tentpole booster release. Unfortunately, beyond this impressive detail, very little is known about it. We know that it's going to be from Final Fantasy 1 up to Final Fantasy 16. Obviously know there's going to be big equipment cards, name a Final Fantasy weapon, there's going to be one, name a Final Fantasy character, there's going to be a card, right? There's going to be a full set like Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth, but there's also going to be commander sets, and I can only imagine they're going to do crazy reprints and stuff. The Buster Blade is probably going to be groundbreaking and standard. Who fucking knows? Pardon my French, but let's be real here. Why this is big though is not only is this going to have a paper Universes Beyond set, continuing on the tradition in paper, we're going to be finally getting Universes Beyond hitting Magic the Gathering through an Alchemy set, like a full set within MTGA for the Alchemy format. And I think that's going to be really good. It'll get people more interested in wanting to play the phone, and maybe even help paper players transition into being like, oh, okay, might as well just bullshit. I got this card, might as well try it on there. You know, that's where I'm thinking. That's where my mind's at. There's going to be MTGA improvements, but I feel like we should cross that bridge when we get there, because I really want to talk about Project Volleyball in Magic's next upcoming set. This is going to be, in my opinion, even looking like the art, maybe we might get like a horror sci-fi space opera theme of like No Man's Sky, maybe mixed with Dead Space, I believe as the game series is called. Come on, guys, give me a break here. It's just a space set in a major Magic timeline, space opera, Q3 of Magic. The arc, it's also going to be introducing a new arc of Magic, which is going to be pretty crazy because the major story arc has been running from Wilds of Eldraine up to 2026 release. This is going to be closing out one of the midway points for the 2026 big blowout of the uncensored arc, which we don't know the name of yet. So realistically, I'm just trying to say a big tease is coming, because even more big tease is coming after that for Q4 of 2025. We're returning back to Lorwyn. A lot of sets that, this is a set that old school Magic players have started at. One of the first Celtic themed sets, set that kind of gave us Hobbit themed people, day-night set. Your first early 2000s set that a lot of people who are more older adults with kids and lives might have started off and forgot playing back when they were in college, you know? So we're two big returns with Tarkir and Lorwyn. It's gonna have the Neon Dynasty Kamigawa treatment, I think, where they're gonna return, but things are gonna be different than as they were before. And it's codenamed Wrestling, so maybe we're gonna get some wrestling themes. Who really knows? I really truthfully can't tell you. But that's just off the MTG Rocks article. I just wanted to give a quick talking out my ass spiel from this. Finally getting into it, we're gonna get, just from my notes, the Marvel set. The Marvel set's gonna be pretty big because this will be our we don't even know, maybe mid-October 2025 release. It's going to be 2 releases for Universes Beyond. So it's not going to be 1 set, it's going to be 2 sets. And I speculate it's going to be heroes, villains for the Marvel. That's just me, but that's just real closing out. I almost closed out on Lorwyn forgetting that we have Marvel. So watch how I save myself there, guys. He can do it all. So that's our article portion of the stream. I wanted to get into our finance section. I have big information. Did a lot of research today on this one. We're gonna go over to MTG stocks. Coming at number 1, Reign of Gore. This is a funny card. It's a 2-drop enchantment. The spell or in red and black, the spell or ability would cause its controller to gain life. That player loses that much instead. It's important that it's legal in Modern, because that's what we're talking about here. It's a sideboard piece in Modern for Rakdos decks. It stops life gain, and it's just an old card, oldie but goldie. It's always been on my radar for a long time for Commander. I'm seeing market's been buying it at like $7, $6. Average listing, we're seeing at $17, $20. People are trying to get ahead of this. It's legal in a 60-card format, so it will command a high price since it is a rare. Nothing real too crazy. We're already seeing it in Modern Hollow 1 decks. It's always crazy when we're finally getting out of the Commander era and really entering into the 60-card era shining time, for me at least, you know? All right, moving at number 2, just want to touch the base there, touch in. So if you're building for Modern, look into that. Good for shutting out life gain. Life gain is becoming more popular. Coming at number 2, another card that's big for Commander, Penance. This is a spec, to be honest. It's a 3-drop enchantment, 2 and a white. Put a card from your hand on top of your library. The next time a black or red source of your choice would deal damage this turn, prevent that damage, even if it's yours. I think this is good because it's going to be used for miracle cards. Miracle cards are, if you top deck this card, you could pay it for its alternate casting cost, and it's usually like a crazy bogus effect. I've seen that used in Commander tons of times with the Aminatou Commander. People are speccing this will probably be good for the new Aminatou Commander. Average listing on TCG Player is $4. People are buying at $4. Average listing I'm seeing at $13. So market's buying low, but the sellers are trying to list high. Pretty interesting. We usually see a trend of market trying to get ahead of what's being bought. Maybe in a week or two we'll come back and see the trend rising, but I doubt sellers are going to get what they want for this card, especially since it's an EDH rec. Since it's an EDH spec and not like a useful card in a 60-card format, or even like CEDH, okay? All right, coming in at number 3, Pyroclasm. And not just any Pyroclasm. This is a card that's got tons of reprints. I suggest looking in because it's gonna have cool art in any old school set. But what I want to talk about is the Magic Player Rewards version. It's the textless version. It's a 2-drop sorcery, legal in Legacy, Modern, Vintage, Commander. Deals 2 damage to each creature. I believe this is going to be coming out in Duskmourn, so it will be legal in Standard and Pioneer, which is why I wanted to talk about it. It's a good ping, and textless cards are popular, and Magic Player Rewards cards are popular because it was a program for like just going to Magic card events and stuff at your local game store, and it got discontinued in 2010. So this is just this textless version of it is just going to be, in my opinion, a highly sought after card, especially for Paper Pioneer, blinging out your deck and just your standard bling out too, you know? And then lastly, guys, I know, it's been a slog on this, but we're coming in at the end. Our honorable mention, a pretty funny artifact, Surveyor's Scope, and I want to talk about, this is the new Wayfarer's Bauble in my opinion. And real quick, Pyroclasm, the Texas version, I'm seeing average listing getting in at $61. But market has been buying that card at $2. It'll probably always be $2, but like I said, because it's been from a set that's like a specialty item set, Magic Player Rewards, which got discontinued, and it's textless card, which is popular, people might get it for $30 or $60 because it's premium. Now, moving forward, Surveyor's Scope coming in as our honorable mention. Why I want to talk about this card is a 2-drop artifact from almost 10 years ago in a commander set. It enters, you tap, exile it, search your library for up to X basic land cards, where X is the number of players who control at least 2 more lands than you. Put those cards onto the battlefield. So if you control 4 and your opponent controls 6, you get to pull out 2 lands from your deck, where X is the number of players who control at least 2 more lands. Oh, sorry, yeah, so you could probably get up to 1, 2, or 3 players if you're in a 4-man game for Commander. I read that all wrong. Reading the card explains the card, guys. Give me a break here. Why this card is important, I think it's a good land pull artifact. Its effect is usually seen in white cards, specifically creatures. This on an artifact, again, is why I think it's a sleeper new Wayfarer's Bauble for Commander. And it's also printed in an old Commander set, back when it was very low key to play EDH. Now it's extremely popular. Market's buying at $3.54, so like $4, I'd say. I'm gonna round up. And then average listing, people are trying to get ahead, it's $15. A real reason, honestly, this was featured in an MTG Goldfish video recently, where they were trying to do like a Shark Tank video with the MTG Goldfish guys. Some Magic players were just coming in and trying to sell them on why this card should be used more and why you're not seeing it. And one of them was Surveyor's Scope. So I'll put the link of that video in the description as well so you can see what I'm talking about. That's the end of the market video. Let me know what you think, guys. Kind of a slog, kind of a little discombobulated brain there, but we hold it down. We do the damn thing on the live, and we're gonna cut it for the YouTube segment. So let me know what's going on in the comments on YouTube side and what you think of the segment, what can be improved, or what we're not talking about. Feel free to jump into Discord and get in the action and get in the comments there. So, thank you.